Realizations from therapy. If you're a people pleaser, then your moral compass is probably miscalibrated. If a magnetic compass is miscalibrated, you will walk the wrong direction thinking that it is the right direction. But if your moral compass points the wrong way, you might do the wrong thing and feel good about it, or if you're a people pleaser, do the right thing and feel bad about it. That might sound ridiculous to you, but what I mean is that standing up for yourself might feel morally bad if you are used to bending over backwards for other people. I am not a therapist. I will tag 3 therapists whose work I respect that make excellent therapy content online, but I wanted to look at the specific example from Dr. Kate Mann's book, and it's this. I've analyzed this book before, but one of the things that came out of it when I was reading it the first time is this concept of the asymmetry of emotional support roles. Let's break that down. In this society, where misogyny is implicit in the social norms that we all have internalized, we think of women's responsibility as to give. She analyzes the giving tree towards the end of this book, an analogy for people that just give and give and give and give and give until they have nothing left. In the context of human emotional interactions, if you're a man, just ask women about this and they will tell you, yes, this is true. Often, women are conditioned and told that they have to put the emotional needs of others first. Men are not taught this. So in the traditional gender roles, women are the ultimate people pleasers, pleasing all the people because it's what they're socially expected to do. So one way of thinking of internalized misogyny is to think of having a poorly calibrated internal compass. If I want to advocate for my own needs and say, no, you have to handle that on your own, that might feel morally bad, but it is not, in fact, bad. And if we wanted to be lazy, like we could just do the inverse, right? We just do the logical inverse and say, oh, well, men are used to putting their own needs first, and so when they try to prioritize others, it doesn't feel right to them. And indeed, this is true. You can hear this in all the conversations where men talk about like, oh, well, I helped my wife with the kids, or like I helped my wife with whatever. And like men on the golf course, well, I'm not on the golf course, but I imagine they'd be like, wow, you're kind of whipped for doing all those chores at home and blah, blah, blah. Our collective moral compass is miscalibrated, and that logic does fit, and we got citations to back it up. But rather than do that, I actually want to flip and recognize that there is another type of miscalibration that happens in traditional masculinity, which is the denial of our own emotional needs. When men encounter an emotional need, instead of following the correctly calibrated moral compass and trying to find a way to get that need met, we convince ourselves that that need is not actually there. You want to not be alone, you want to hug, you want someone to talk to, right? Must be a sign of weakness. You gotta fix it, boy. I wish that this were not true, but I know firsthand the emotional shackles that we men wear. We don't want to be people pleasers in the same way that women do, but we are taught to deny our own needs, which incidentally leads to a kind of feedback loop, because one of the only places that we get to feel safe is in romantic relationships, leading to us to dump all of our emotions onto our partners, aka a rederivation of the asymmetry of emotional support role. And I guess I said that kind of fast, but to break down the logic of it, men have emotional needs and women have emotional needs. But where women can meet each other's emotional needs, men refuse to and largely engage in video games and bro-tastic, non-emotionally connected states. So men can only lean on one person where women can lean on many, an asymmetry of emotional support roles. An example you can pester me about to analyze in more depth is the Huck Finn case, where he has to grapple with the fact that his moral compass is poorly calibrated. But to Coldplay us all the way back to the sta-ah-art, finding ways to get your emotional needs met might feel bad when your moral compass is miscalibrated. But just because something doesn't feel right doesn't always mean it isn't right. And that realization is the foundation of personal progress, and indeed one of the foundations of the process of philosophy itself. Obviously lots of caveats here, that just because you have to recalibrate your moral compass doesn't mean that there is no such thing as morality and that you should be allowed to be, I'm not giving you a moral blank check to ignore all of your conscience. That's not what I'm trying to say. There's nuance here, you're smart enough to understand it. Getting there is something the philosopher John Rawls calls a process of reflective equilibrium. It is not easy. It requires a relinquishment of some of your biases, and incidentally also an embrace of some of your biases. Philosophy is complicated. All of these books that I recommend are in my reading list. Thanks for watching. Just follow for more. Talk to you in the next one. Obligatory influencer things. Okay, bye.